Well, hello there, Jack. I see you've got the new Thunderbirds Blu-ray box set there.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's an interesting one.
Yeah. Have you
Wasn't
started watching it? Are you watching all the super marionation goodness, all the
yeah, I mean
combinations?
it's certainly got a lot of Super Marination goodness in it. I must
Uh-huh.
admit it's not quite what I was expecting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it's got lots of,
It,
puppet action and
uh-huh.
fun, chaase sequences and
Right. Does it
gunfights
have
and even some
the live
explosions
action
and stuff.
hands,
Yeah, live
live
action
action
hands,
hands
all
and
the stuff,
swords
but
and
it's just not. It's not quite
what's
Thunderbirds how I remember it.
what do you mean? What could be missing? What could be off about this Thunderbirds Blu-ray
I don't
set?
know. I mean, I'll take a look. I'll take a look inside.
Yeah, take a
Is
closer
this
look.
is this the
It's
same as what you've got?
oh, you
That's
know,
what I found in mine.
there might have been a slight mix-up. You see, what you've got there is Four Feather Falls,
All right,
possibly the
that's
only show
different,
in the
is it?
universe that's greater than Thunderbirds.
Oh, well, that's a claim, and I don't disagree with it. And we're certainly going to get into it today. Welcome everyone
Woo!
to our special Four Feather Falls 66th anniversary edition of the Security Hazard Show. It's the podcast that goes choo choo, ricka rackety, a choo choo right across the play, choo choo. It's the funny little ricka rackety security hazard show.
Wow, that was seamless.
Yeah.
Your host is a man they call one of the finest gunslingers from the Obregon territory. It's Mr. Jack Knoll.
Well,
Howdy,
thank
Jack.
you. Howdy. Well, my co-host today. When Tex Tucker sings about happy hearts and friendly faces, this is the man he's talking about. It's Ben Wolf-Page, everybody.
It's true.
How are
it's
you
true.
today, sir?
I'm basically like Dusty. I'm excitable and I'm raring to go because goodness me. And I'm a little bit like little Jake as well because I want to be a deputy in Four Feather Falls now.
Right.
I mean, I'm completely enchanted by this marvelous program.
Yeah.
That's
that's good.
It's one of those things when you're a Gerry Anderson fan, you've heard of Four Feather Falls, of course. And it's one of those that just tends to slide under the radar, though. It's one of those. A lot of people have slept on it, I think, even though they may have the DVD or they may have heard about it, they have access to it, but just never got around to watching it. I was one of those people. Oh man, I've been watching it in preparation for this show, and man, it just brings me so much joy, Jack.
I'm
it's
glad.
Just such a joyful little show.
I'm really glad. Yeah, same for me. I really needed it. So, people who are listening and hearing, if you detect that my voice is a little weary compared to my normal bouncy self, I've been a bit poorly this week, I'm afraid to say, Ben.
I'm sorry, Jack.
Yeah, and not quite over it. So, Ben, I'm very much relying on you to carry us through this week. But I'm going to try and give it my all. Because what's funny about this is the first time I would have seen Four Feather Falls was when this DVD box set dropped through the letterbox, not as part of my Thunderbirds box set. These were separate incidents, but I know the ruse at the beginning was a bit of trickery. I have to say.
What?
Yeah, I know. It was such good acting. I'm sure.
I was so convinced.
Yeah. No, the first time I saw Four Feather Falls, I was probably like, I don't know, I was home from school sick. I was probably about, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old at the time. I got this DVD through the mail on the same day, very conveniently. I was genuinely sick, I will say that. And I watched I've just spent the day watching Four Feather Falls and trying to feel better. And it's kind of funny how all these years later, it's come back around. And I had to do this. I did the same thing this week of be feeling a little down, feeling a little sick, and I watched some Four Feather Falls, and I'm bouncing back, and I'm excited. And I'm ready to talk about it today. So we've got something very special planned for today. We are heading into a countdown to disaster.
5, great disaster. 4,
This is the big one.
3,
There will be no survivors.
2,
No!
1.
So what I've done today, as a special celebration of Four Feather Falls on the day, today is that day, the 66th anniversary of the series' first broadcast.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, it's pretty special. So what I've done today is I have compiled a list of my 5 kind of top picks for the series, 5 episodes that if you've never watched the show before, if you're not familiar with Four Feather Falls at all, and you're like, it's sounds like a good show, Jack, but how do I get into it? What are some of the good episodes to watch? I've picked out 5 of them that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to kind of go through, summarize them, give them little mini reviews, and also get, Ben, some of your first impressions of them. I believe this is the first time you've seen some of these.
Yeah, the only one of these that I had seen before is now I'm gonna forget, A Cure for Everything.
Right.
Cure for Everything, which ironically is what my co-host needs today.
Yeah.
If only we could send Doc Haggerty around with some mineral water. Yeah, nice. Most of these were new to me, so that's one of the things that is really exciting about having such a large back catalog to draw from as an Anderson fan.
Yeah,
is that you could still find things. I've been watching these shows for, much longer than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still find things that I haven't seen before, which is extraordinary. What a gift to find new Anderson stuff that I've not seen. So
Exactly. Yeah, whereas I'm coming in very familiar with Four Feather Falls. I've watched it far too many times, and, gone to the extent, as I'm sure many people will know, I went to the extent of drawing a map of the entire town and the surrounding countryside, analyzing every episode in excruciating detail to try and tease out all these little details to draw a big old map of it. I did a whole video on that. It's on my YouTube channel. Go and take a look at that if you're interested. But yeah,
well,
I know, and the reason I do this is because, Four Feather Falls comes across as such a underappreciated gem of a show. It's rich with detail, and it's a really wonderful world to just inhabit for a short time. But also from a historical point of view, if you're a Super Mario Nation fan, Four Feather Falls is the thing that really. It's the first Anderson production that's like recognizable as a Super Mario Nation production, and the things that you see the production team developing over the course of Four Feather Falls, you later start to see those techniques refined in Thunderbirds and later shows like that. So I think it's just important, really, if you're an Anderson fan, to at least give Four Feather Falls a try.
yeah.
At the very least.
Important from that historical standpoint, but you're also going to have a lot of fun, I think.
Exactly.
It's there's maybe because it's preceded by the Roberta Lee shows, which are a bit tedious even by Roberta Lee's standards, I think.
Wow, pulling no punches. Love it.
Well, I would much rather watch Space Patrol or Sarah and Hoppity than Twizzle or Torchy. So they are sort of the bottom of the barrel there in that world. Which is not to say that they're bad. They're just not nearly as good as this.
That's good.
This is a light year away from Torchy the Battery Boy.
Right. I think that's a very important distinction to make, just because this, obviously, Four Feather Falls is obviously it doesn't have the Super Mario Nation brand on it. They hadn't invented the term yet. But the puppets are for all intents and purposes, Super Mario Nation puppets. But also this was pre-Loot Grade, pre-ITC and all of that. So people, I suppose if you're trying to choose which bucket to put it into, a lot of people probably link it to Torchy and Twizzle more so than Supercar and Fireball. And I'm saying right now that that's not the case. It is
Absolutely
much
not,
closer to the later Super Mario Nation shows than it is to the earlier Twizzle and Torchy stuff. I think that's very important distinction to make.
And networked nationwide, which is a key piece of trivia as well, that it was broadcast across the entire UK, across, I think it was 9 regions at the time. Which is just the last time that happened for another 39 years or so.
Basically it's Lavender Castle, which by the time you get to Lavender Castle, that was complete ITV, the network and all the franchises and stuff structured in a totally different way, so it doesn't mean the same thing really. Four Feather Falls was broadcast across the entire ITV network. It was the series was bought by Granada, but thrown across the whole ITV network, everyone in the country watching it all at the same time.
Amazing.
So on this day in 1960, on 25th of February, the first episode, How It Began, was shown, and little 15-minute installments, so not very long at all, but my goodness me, do they pack in a lot into those 15-minute installments. 39 episodes in total. And we're gonna dive into some of what I've picked out as some of my favorite episodes, but also episodes that offer a kind of good variety. I think they show you different aspects of the show.
It's a great variety pack you've picked here. So if you're looking to journey into Four Feather Falls for the first time, this is a great starter list.
Great. All right. Well, let's dig in then. Let's not keep anyone in suspense for much longer. So the first episode that I have picked is a little treat called Trouble in Yellow Gulch, which was the second episode broadcast, 10th episode produced, written by Phil Ressler, directed by Gerry Anderson himself. That's a nice thing about Four Feather Falls as well, is Gerry Anderson is still directing the episodes. It's only sort of partway through this series that he starts to hand off to people like David Elliott and Alan Patillo. And it's great to see their talents sort of rising to the top. But I think with Four Feather Falls, it's also quite a treat to see Gerry himself directing and seeing how he himself handled the puppets and things like that, and how he pioneered some of the techniques that came later. So that's good fun. Trouble in Yellow Gulch. Tell us a little bit about that one, Ben. What's it all about?
Well,
give us.
I'll read a summary from from the Gerry Anderson episode guide here.
Perfect.
Trouble at Yellow Gulch. Pedro and Fernando establish a toll gate at Yellow Gulch Pass. So Ma Jones and Grandpa Twink take an alternative route through Black Boulder Canyon. Sheriff Tucker discovers that the bandits intend to block off the canyon and sets out to stop them. So right away, you'll recognize this from Jack's map of Four Feather Falls episode, because there's geography is the important part of this episode for sure. Right off the bat. One of the things that struck me about it, Jack, especially because we just talked about Fireball XL5 and an episode of Fireball XL5 that has some, tension between the sexes, shall we say? You get a little bit of that in Four Feather Falls as well, especially between the characters of Ma Jones and Grandpa Twink. Two senior citizens of Four Feather Falls who are, shall we say, courting. They're sort of.
Are they courting? Well, this is some of the fun that you can have in the series. Is the exact nature of their relationship is never divulged, but some characters like to speculate, which is just so much fun.
It's very charming.
In this episode, they ride into Yellow Gulch together, and they are greeted by Pedro and Fernando, who hold them up and say, you've got to pay our toll to come through this pass. And Twink initially is prepared to give in and just pay the toll. But Ma Jones, who's a very kind of strong, resilient woman, stands up and says, "No, we're not going to pay that toll. We'll go through the other pass. We're going to go through Black Boulder Canyon, despite how dangerous everyone says it is."
Now,
yeah.
do Pedro and Fernando, the lovable bandit types,
Mhm.
do they actually have the rights to this land that they're charging a toll on? Do they actually own this
bought it.
pass?
They spent the last of their money, their ill-gotten gains, I suppose. They spent the last of their money on buying Yellow Gulch.
Wow.
And it actually, what's again amazing about this is it actually prompts a sequel episode later on, which is called Gold is Where You Find It, which, without giving away too much, sort of follows up on Pedro and Fernando spent all this money on a fairly worthless bit of land, particularly by the end of this episode, Trouble in Yellow Gulch. So they try and figure out, well, how can we make up for our losses and stuff like that, which is just great. It's so rich and detailed, and it gives you, there's a sense in certain Four Feather Falls episodes that there's a continuity, that events that happen in certain episodes will affect what happens later on, and certain characters' standing kind of goes up and down, particularly Pedro and Fernando, because they come up with so many harebrained, money-making schemes over the course of the show. It's fun to see them kind of rise and fall in their successes over the course of the show. It's great. It's so it's so much more thought out than it really has any right to be as a sort of, people might write off Four Feather Falls as like just a throwaway, 15 minutes of kids entertainment with songs and magic and all that sort of stuff. It's puppets, whatever. I'm here to say, and I've said it many, many times before, and people are probably sick of me saying it, but there's just so much more to Four Feather Falls. It really is. Yeah, I get such a kick out of how much continuity and lore there is kind of hidden away in Four Feather Falls that enable you to take it a little bit seriously. It's fun.
I think a lot of that is down to Phil Ressler, who wrote about 26 of these.
Yeah.
And anytime you have a writer, concentrating on writing almost the entirety of the show himself, you get a lot more continuity just naturally, because he's thinking about, okay, what have I done before and what can I do next, and how can I call back to that? And it works. It makes a lot of sense, and it's a lot of fun. The continuity. It's a nice change.
It is worth noting that of the 5 episodes we're talking about today, 4 of them were written by Phil Ressler. there's only one on here that's from the sort of later portion of the series, because I think if you're watching the show in production order, there is a slight, and it's really slight, tonal shift that happens towards the end that it does start to lose some of that realism and some of that slight darkness and grit about it, which not words you would think to associate with Four Feather Falls in the first place. But yeah, I'm saying that later episodes are a bit lighter and do lean a bit more into the fantasy and stuff like that, which is good fun and everything. But I would say that the show is slightly stronger when it takes itself a bit more seriously. Which,
interesting to note too that a lot of the other writers besides Phil were women. So you have 2 female names on that list. Which is,
Mary Cathcart-Bohr wrote the pilot episode, and then one more after that, and then those later episodes were Jill Allgood.
Right.
And we've got even a couple of episodes, which this is where it gets complicated. A couple of episodes credited to Martin Woodhouse, but that was a pseudonym for Hugh Woodhouse, who
using his brother's name,
which will be familiar to Super Mario Nation fans because Martin and Hugh Woodhouse, both brothers, worked together later on Supercar, writing scripts for Supercar, but they got their start.
So incredibly confusing.
One of them got their start on Four Feather Falls. So
amazing.
There you go. Yeah, those are some pretty good episodes, actually, those two. But yeah, Trouble in Yellow Gulch has a lot of fun going on in it. Got some special effects, really early special effects going on in here. A nice explosion going off, which is essentially just a puff of smoke. But it works.
It's effective.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. They later on, of course, they would really master the technique and the special effects of shooting in slow motion, where they would take an explosion and really slow it down. But in this instance, when they have a big explosion and there's a rock fall, you can see they had to slow it down in post. They had to slow the footage down because they filmed it at regular speed, and it just looked too fast. So they found a way in post to slow it down. It doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
That's what they would do later. But it's fascinating to see them. Literally, you can watch them figuring out the steps of how to do this type of program as you watch Fort Feather Falls, and it's
great.
That's really fun. As a filmmaker, that's really interesting to me to watch them. Oh yeah, this is how you do that.
Yeah, and playing with different scales as well, because you have some shots. So what we're talking about is sort of at the climax of the episode, the black boulder of Black Boulder Canyon, which sits on the top, ends up rolling down the hill. We're not going to say in which direction, and because that's important to the plot. But this the Black Boulder on the puppet set, they show the puppet standing next to it. It's this huge rock. It's massive. It's bigger than the puppets are. And then on the model set, when you see the boulder actually rolling down the hill, it's obviously much smaller. And it's interesting to see them, playing with scale, and as you say, talking about camera speed and things like that. They haven't quite figured it out yet, but the seeds are there for what will come later on. But yeah, it's great.
Do you have any notion of what that rock might have been made of? I know they used coal sometimes before the advent of polystyrene.
Yeah, certainly they did use real lumps of coal elsewhere on the set, but that lump of coal would be far too big. So I'm going to guess, and this is actually based on something that I heard from something that you worked on that we're going to talk about a bit later, actually. But Bob Bell mentioned that at the time, Bob Bell was the art director, or I guess assistant art director at this stage. He talked about how polystyrene was a relatively new invention at the time, and how you could carve rock pieces out of giant blocks of polystyrene. So I would guess that the large version of Black Boulder would have been made out of polystyrene. That would be my guess anyway. But yeah. So, Trouble in Yellow Gulch, a good, fun episode. Good Pedro and Fernando spotlight, I think. Of all their all their crazy schemes, I feel like this is a fairly typical one where they, buy one of the 2 access points to Four Feather Falls and demand that people pay a toll in order to get into the town. I think it's great. It's exactly, and of course, the traditional thing of Pedro. It's all Pedro's idea. He's very much the leader of the 2, and Fernando is very unwilling to help.
You get the sense that Fernando would just like to do something easy and simple and not complicate matters by making it elaborate.
Yeah.
And Master Spy, Pedro, is really keen to have a scheme and to get the best of Tex Tucker, not just to win the gold, but to get one over on Tex.
Yeah.
He's really invested in the rivalry.
Yeah.
And there's a sort of running gag in the early episodes about Pedro's hat getting shot up. Full of holes, which is just marvelous. All the comedy villains that they do later in things like Stingray especially have their roots here in Four Feather Falls.
Yeah. Well, that's what's great.
They do it so well.
Yeah, that's what's really just nice about Pedro is he has the characters are really clearly drawn. Like he has a lot of pride, clearly, and he takes pride in things like his hat. But Fernando, as much as he needs to needs Pedro and somewhat delights in the evilness. He would just rather have a quiet life, really. Which, as you alluded to, is very similar to people like Master Spy and Zarin, who came along later. Boris and Griselda Space Spy, who we talked about last week. All those little, as I say, all the seeds, they're planted in Four Feather Falls, definitely.
Sure are.
Yeah. So yeah, Trouble in Yellow Gulch. That's a kind of fun one to get started with.
Yes, I like that very much.
On our list, I have Frame Up, which was
Frame Up.
Literally the next episode, actually, both in broadcast and production order. Frame Up.
Oh, interesting.
I think for me, once you sort of get past the sort of pilot episode, that you get into a very good run of early episodes that really, for me, kind of cemented my affection for the series, and Frame Up was definitely one of them.
It's a very strong episode.
Yeah, give us a summary, Ben.
Here's the Chris Bentley summary for you. After Rocky is stolen by a phantom horse thief, Sheriff Tucker buys a spare horse from Rough Snyder and realizes that he has been framed when the corrupt Sheriff Jameson of Silver City discovers stolen money in the horse's saddlebag. So this is one of those episodes where Tex gets into trouble, and it doesn't take place in the town of Four Feather Falls at all, really, which is a nice
Again,
change.
Lots of lovely geography for me to get my teeth into with this one. I very much enjoyed that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Lots of detail about Silver City.
Yes, there is. Well, there's a few reasons why I love this one. It opens up, it doesn't open specifically with it, but one of the earliest scenes is Tex singing the song Phantom Rider, which
is a lovely tune.
Lots of people have listed Phantom Rider as one of their favorite songs. But in case you don't know, almost every episode of Four Feather Falls features a song performed by Tex Tucker, the vocals for which were provided by a singer called Michael Holiday, and it's just a lovely little treat. It's amazing, really, that again you're dealing with less than 15-minute long episodes, and they have time to squeeze in a song. And sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't quite fit. Sometimes they do just interrupt the action to have a song, but in this case, it tonally fits very well because Tex, Dusty, and Rocky are camping out on the prairie, and Dusty's a little bit nervous and scared, and so they, Tex decides to introduce this sort of ghost story about a phantom rider who rides through the night, and it tonally plays in very well to what ends up happening in the story, and it's beautifully shot. They film a sequence with a silhouetted figure riding a horse through the night across the prairie, and it's very evocative, and it looks so good in black and white, especially. It works really well. Yeah.
Black and white is a great tool for storytelling, and they use it extremely well in this show. I know there's been colorizations of Four Feather Falls, and I do like the color versions that I've seen, but I have to say there's something about the black and white that I just really love, and I'm guessing you feel similar, Jack.
Well, I think specifically with Four Feather Falls, I because it's vintage by nature, in that you're looking at a period in history that was all photographed in black and white anyway. Right. Having the show be in black and white as well feels more authentic.
Feels like the right choice.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. I that for me. Yes, color. Good to attempt colorizations and things like that, and I appreciate that might make it more appealing for some people. But I think specifically with Four Feather Falls, it's got to be black and white. It just does.
100%.
But
this
episode,
Dusty and Rocky there. We haven't talked about Dusty and Rocky much. Dusty being Tex Tucker's dog and Rocky being his horse. They can speak thanks to two of the four magic feathers, the titular four feathers there that sit in the brim of Tex Tucker's hat.
Yes.
I love Dusty and Rocky I especially love Rocky the horse with his English accent, very refined.
Yes. My
It's
ancestors
the
came from England, don't you know? Mm.
very upper crust or stereotyped upper crust accent is what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And he sort of takes a back seat to Dusty in a lot of these stories because Dusty is a bit more mobile and agile, and he's sort of Tex's step and fetch it man.
Yeah.
He sort of like inconspicuously hides among the rocks and overhears the bad guys' plans a lot.
Yeah.
So when we get a chance to have some Rocky action, I'm all for that because he doesn't get to be on the main stage as much as Dusty does.
Yes.
So
yes.
They're a nice pair of characters, and they do a great job.
Both of them voiced by Kenneth. Both of them voiced by Kenneth Connor, which is
just fantastic.
Great, and he does so well at providing both voices, and so often those two characters are talking to each other. And yeah, he does fantastic with both, and yeah, his characterization of Dusty is great.
All of
this excitable young pup. Yeah. In terms of voices that you'd sort of be familiar with, David Graham makes his debut in Four Feather Falls, voicing characters like Grandpa Twink, Big Ben, Red Scalp, Fernando, and tons of other guest characters as well. So straight off the bat, David Graham is stepping in and providing a ton of voices. You also have Denise Breyer, who famously was the voice of Zelda in Terrorhawks, and had earlier also provided voices for Twizzle as well.
Yep.
And then you've also got Kenneth Connor, as we mentioned, the Carry On star, starred in many Carry On films and does a wonderful job, also providing lots of different voices in Four Feather Falls. And also rounding off the cast is Nicholas Parsons, playing Tex Tucker, the sheriff himself. And he's great in this. He takes it very, very seriously. He's just wonderful. And yeah, real
absolutely
treat.
The right choice for that part. Great casting.
Yeah. So yeah, wonderful voice cast. Again, just paving the way for future Super Mario Nation shows of having a core team of voice artists who can just do a ton of different characters. In certain episodes, Kenneth Connor has to talk to himself quite a lot.
Yes, it's very impressive.
Yeah,
I wish that some of these voice artists had stuck around more. I think Denise Breyer could have done some major contributions to some of the later shows.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame we don't hear much from her in between that and Terrorhawks, at least in the Anderson world.
Yeah, strange. So much why that happens.
So much talent. I get the sense that they sort of like to do a bit of a reset with the voice casts between the shows.
Yeah, probably. And people were fitting it around their availability from other projects and things like that. So it makes sense that it would change up from time to time. But yeah,
Nicholas Parsons naturally became quite busy.
Yeah.
This.
Well, he kept on working with Gerry, doing things like the Blue Cars commercials and things like that, and of course he even wrote his own episode of Four Feather Falls. The script for that turned up a few years ago. That was a treat. You
can see that on YouTube if you look up Dusty's Day. You can watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Just going back to Frame Up briefly, what I like about this episode is, again, it takes itself quite seriously. When Tex and Dusty are left stranded in the middle of the desert, walking in the hot sun, the tone of it is very serious. Like you get the sense that they're really in some danger. There's a beautiful wide shot that shows just the whole desert landscape and the sun beating down, and far out in the middle of this landscape, just the tiny figures of Tex and Dusty walking across, and the immense scale of it is so impressive. You think, wow, that landscape. Bear in mind they were filming at this stage they were on the Slough Trading Estate, but in the smaller Bath Road unit, which you
It's
think
tiny.
that set of the whole prairie must have taken up the whole studio. It's really impressive stuff, very cinematic, and
Very
looks
cinematic.
great. Yeah, so I love that. I, as I say, love how seriously it kind of takes the premise, and yeah, just sets us up really nicely for other adventures like that. Introduction to, well, depending on what order you watch the show in, I suppose, but in terms of broadcast order anyway, this is the first appearance of Big Ben.
Ah, that was my nickname in high school.
I'm sure it was. He's an interesting character because he's not really talked about very much. He is a bit of an antidote to Pedro and Fernando in a way, in the sense that he's not a comedy villain.
He's a straight bad guy.
He is a bad guy. He steals and kills and gets involved in all sorts of horrible criminal activity over the course of the show. And he's in quite a few episodes, actually, but people don't really talk about him so much.
No.
But yeah, no, he's played sort of dead straight most of the time, I think. And yeah, another kind of great character. Not the prettiest puppet that I've ever seen.
Controversial. I feel like he might be the ultimate triumph of their art of puppet sculpting.
Really?
I mean, look at Big Ben's face. I mean, what a face! It's so charming.
It's so big.
It's so urbane. You know, you look at a face like that and you're like, this is a face that's going places.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
What a legend.
He is.
What a legend.
Yeah. He's a yeah. Now, yes, I accept some people's criticism of Four Feather Falls of like, the puppets aren't so refined as in later shows. Some of those faces are harder to look at. But in its defense, I would say that was sort of just the style of the time. At least over the course of the show, it is sort of consistent. They all have these really heavily caricatured faces. Whereas you get to shows like Fireball XL5, it's really inconsistent in Fireball XL5. Some of the guest puppets are really extreme in their caricatures, whereas Steve Zodiac is a bit more kind of neutral, and some of the sharper lines have been smoothed out a little bit by that point. At least in Four Feather Falls, it has this sort of consistent style about it, which is, I like it.
I like it too, and I feel like in some ways they sort of, when they move into Supercar, there's a bit of a regression that happens where, I mean, for example, a lot of people have talked about Tex Tucker and what a great looking puppet he is, how well sculpted that character is. And then you compare him to Mike Mercury.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Mercury is not nearly as good looking a puppet and as well finished and well polished as Tex is.
Yeah.
So in a way, they sort of, by broadening their style, they sort of regressed a little bit in terms of the style that they had sort of were perfecting with Four Feather Falls, and then they sort of made a departure and tried something different with Supercar.
It's interesting.
So it's a matter of taste for sure.
And there's a couple in terms of the puppets. There's some really ambitious stuff actually that's tried in Four Feather Falls that you don't really see again, and it's partly because of those caricature faces. But you have things like, if a character, I'm thinking about a character like Dan Morse, he has a big moustache that covers most of his face. And that means that they have the opportunity, whereas instead of on most Super Mario Nation puppets, it's just the lower lip that moves. With Dan Morse, his entire chin opens and closes. And you could argue that's a more sort of realistic mouth movement compared to, just
what a chin it is, folks.
Oh, it's a chin. It's impressive.
That's a chin that could launch ships. I mean, it's quite a chin.
Yeah.
Which I like that too. I like the sort of characters like Grandpa Twink is probably the most infamous word, which has come to mean different things in the 21st century. But at the time, Grandpa Twink was an innocent enough phrase.
Yes.
He has the most extraordinary head shape. He looks almost like a Fireball XL5 alien in his caricaturedness. I mean,
I think the word that people use often is simian. It's ape-like.
yeah, he's got a bit of an orangutan vibe in the shape of his head.
Yes,
Grandpa
yes.
Twink. And I'm biased in that way. I lean more towards, in my philosophy of puppetry, I lean more towards John Blundell than I would some of the later Super Marionation ideas.
Yeah.
Where the sculptor of Parker, John Blundell, who believed more in the power of puppets to do caricature and to do things that only puppets can do in terms of, you know, how the characters are expressed. So I lean more towards that, and I wish they had kept some of that, especially later on. But it's, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. They're all the different styles are interesting, and they all. I'm glad that we have a spectrum to look at.
Yes.
Yeah, I just made a Captain
Very
Scarlet
clever.
pun.
Very good. Yeah. Oh gosh, Captain Scarlet going complete. Imagine a show with Grandpa Twink stood next to Captain Scarlet.
Oh man.
Sheer contrast in those two puppets. Imagine those two having a conversation with each other. It would be
now, Captain Scarlet, we gotta get you down to the Mistron complex up on the moon. It's me, Colonel Twink.
SIG, Grandpa Twink.
Perfect.
It would be, yeah. But you know, consider that those were 7 years apart.
It's incredible. It's incredible the difference and the range that they were able to achieve in that time.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And the great thing about, in retrospect, is you can like and dislike different styles. Some people love the Captain Scarlet style of puppets. Some people love the caricatured Four Feather Falls style. You can pick and choose what you like about it. So it's great. Speaking of Grandpa Twink, we should probably move on to our next episode, which is all about him. It's the toughest guy in the West. Ben, tell us about this episode.
Well, I'll just read this little summary here. And,
I realize I sprung that upon you quite quickly there.
Everyone pokes fun at Grandpa Twink when he boasts of his youthful exploits, but the old timer gets a chance to prove that he can still take on a tribe of Comanches.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is very much a Grandpa Twink focused episode. Yeah, it's lovely. Opens up in the stables at Four Feather Falls. Tex is singing a song, as he so often does, singing a song to entertain everybody. And, you know, starts with Twink remarking that he had a lovely singing voice as a child. And everyone thinks that that's a load of nonsense. And
now, is it a load of nonsense, or do you think that that Twink was really a tough hombre in his youth?
I don't know. I think he was
hard to say.
Put in a lot of perilous situations. I think it's probably historically accurate that he was in certain dangerous situations. However, how he responded to those situations is probably up for some debate. And I think that's where the fun of it comes in, and where everyone starts to poke fun at him.
It seems to vary even in this episode. There's kind of a joke moment where he gets scared and runs away. But there's also a few fight scenes where he really holds his own and is quite courageous. So
yeah,
I think he could go sort of either way in terms of his courage, if you will.
Yeah,
I love the thing about Four Feather Falls that's great, sort of an undersung aspect of it, is the way they use capitalization in the episode titles.
I'm so glad I wasn't the only one who picked up on this, because it's such a nerdy little detail.
But this episode's called The Toughest Guy in the West, and it's toughest with a lowercase t.
Yeah.
And everything else is capitalized. The first word, the first letter of each word is capitalized. But in this, the T is lowercase, and I was like, "Why is that?" And then I saw the episode, and I went, "Oh, this is a story. This is part of the story that the T is lowercase because he's not really the toughest."
Oh, I see. You think it was intentional?
I think so.
That theory would work if it wasn't the case across so many other episodes of the series where the capitalization of the episode titles is all weird and skewy. What can I say? It was early days. They were still learning about little presentation things like that.
Oh, I think it's great. I love that. Nice. Those little tweaks.
Yeah,
they're like little things for nerds like me to look at.
Yeah.
Also, some amazing puppetry in this opening musical number.
Yeah,
you have
Slim Jim. He's dancing away in the background.
He's dancing away in the background. Doc Haggerty and Grandpa Twink are clapping, and the clapping is like perfectly in sync with the music.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's great puppetry all around.
Partly good puppetry, probably partly also good bit of editing, to sync it all up properly as well. Which again is very important to the Super Mario Nation style. We should talk a bit more about that than we do. Is the editing? It's fast paced. It cuts around. Particularly this episode has some great, action sequences where a band of Comanches come and attack. And we see, arrows flying through the air and puppets getting pinned up against walls and stuff like that. And it's all achieved with just fast cutting. Even this early on with the puppets, they knew that cutting away quickly to kind of disguise the fact that the puppets couldn't move as much as one might like. They knew that was all made in the edit. And it's even in Four Feather Falls, it has that same editing style that would be familiar in later Super Mario Nation shows as well.
Yeah. Speaking of these sorts of things, storytelling with editing, they learned a lot from John Ford, who's was famous for a movie called Stagecoach, sort of his breakout sound film with John Wayne. And there's a lot of action sequences, both in this episode and in an episode you did on our Patreon, Jack, called Ambush, that have chase scenes with a lot of arrows flying. And it reminds me of Stagecoach, the way that they handle the action. And it's so clever. It's that you can tell that they are limited in what they can do, but they don't let that limit the kind of stories that they can tell.
Yeah.
They find ways to tell the story that they want to tell with the limitations that they're working under with the puppets.
Yeah.
Which is just, that is the magic of Super Mario Nation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And they don't hold back on certain things. There's a particular shot I'm thinking of where one of the attackers is approaching the shack from outside, and you see him through a window while Grandpa Twink is facing the other way. Yeah, and the perspective on it, there's a lot of distance you can see. And again, talking about just the size of the sets, they really didn't hold back on using all of the studio space that they had to make it look as big and impressive and cinematic as possible. Yeah, which in a way, it's interesting to see this compared with something like Supercar. Suddenly in Supercar, and maybe this is a budgetary thing, I don't know, but they go all in on back projection with Supercar. Anytime they can use back projection as a way of showing a landscape or a background or something, they use it.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you immediately go, oh, well, that's back projection. You can tell because the film is fluttering up and down at a different speed to everything else. Yeah. Whereas in Four Feather Falls, they don't, I don't think they use back projection at all. Maybe there's one or two instances, but as far as I know, it's all done with real sky backdrops and real landscapes, and everything has been built. And particularly shots where they're riding through the desert. I just can't imagine the complexity. I think they had to build sort of a special rig that would enable them to track the camera with the landscape moving and with the puppet and the horse who have to stay together being operated from above by the puppeteers who also have to move along. It's all got to move along in sync, and it's all done in camera, and it's all done for real, but shrunk down to puppet scale. It's crazy
It's a
to think
technical
about the
marvel
logistics.
to think about the logistics of things that they were achieving, and you see it and you watch it and it just sort of washes over you because you're watching the story, and you unless you think about it and stop for a second and go, wait a minute, how did they do that? Then suddenly you're like, whoa, that was the technical knowledge that went into that is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, because you come along as a Super Mario Nation fan and you start to apply, you think, what would Derek Meddings wasn't working full time at the studio at this point, but you go, if this were Thunderbirds, if this were 5 years later, they would have used a rolling road or a rolling sky backdrop so that everything would have stayed stationary and the landscape and everything would have moved. If it had been a year later, they would have used back projection like they did in Supercar. But because they haven't, it's great in a way because they haven't worked out how to cheat yet. They're sort of like, they don't know any other way of achieving what they want to achieve other than just doing it and just doing puppets riding horses. So they come up with little things like they work out, okay, the horse puppets can't actually, you can't have all four legs moving and walking. You can't really do that. So they do.
Can you imagine 4 strings for the horse's legs plus the puppets?
They manage it with Dusty. I look at Dusty and the way that Dusty the dog walks, and I cannot work it out. I don't know how they do it. It's not the most convincing walk in the world, but just as a piece of puppetry, I look at it. I just go, how many strings have you got going on? And surely there's a floor puppeteer there doing it as well. Like it just looks, it's very impressive.
Great.
But with
it's very characterful as well. The walk, it may not be realistic, but it contributes so much to the character of Dusty, the way that he sort of bounces around. Yeah, it's just great.
But what I was saying about Rocky and the horse puppets, what they do when they have to show them in motion is you notice they don't photograph them from the legs down. You don't see the legs because what was actually happening was the puppet was on wheels, and they do some very clever stuff. In certain shots where they need to show a wide shot, is they'll have a piece of landscape or a bush or a rock or something in the foreground, so the puppet comes into shot, and you don't see the legs. But your brain doesn't look at it as if they're trying to hide the legs there. You just accept that that's what it looks like. So it's very, very elegant in the way it's pulled off. It's
all the pieces just slot together so nicely. You would never know. Yeah, you would never think about all the different technical elements, which is obviously what they were trying to achieve. But it's kind of seamless in a way that some of the later shows. Okay, well, so by the time you get to something like Joe 90, they'd really hammered down a formula for how they were going to do their shows. Yeah, and I think sometimes it can get formulaic, where if you see a shot of a car traveling, it's going to be the rolling road. It's going to be this. Okay, the airplane's going to fly left to right. You get ideas of how these shows are made. And in Four Feather Falls, they were still writing all those rules. Yeah, and so they were trying different things to see what worked. And some of them, sometimes they don't work so well, but sometimes they work brilliantly. Yeah, and it's just a lovely.
One of the things we were asked about on the podcast last week was about live action hand inserts and sort of when did that come into play, and it starts with Four Feather Falls. That's when they start using live action hand inserts, but they use them in unusual ways that you don't necessarily see later on. Sometimes it's very effective, sometimes it doesn't quite work. Actually, going back to Frame Up briefly, I know there's a shot where you see more than just hands. You sort of have a cowboy in full costume walk into shot, and it's all live action basically, and it's a little bit jarring, but as you say, they're still writing the rule book on it, which is great. Anything else about Toughest Guy in the West that we want to call out? It's one of those shows you've just got to watch it to enjoy it, but there's some comedy and drama in there for sure.
Yes, it's great. I'll say 2 more things about it. One is the lighting on a character called Indian Jack. The Native Americans are baddies in this episode, although there's good Native Americans and bad Native Americans in Four Feather Falls. It's a bit of a mixed bag. But the Comanches are really after a guy named Indian Jack, and he's lit so stylishly and has such a great sculpt. He's
Yeah.
just a lovely character, and then the cinematography on top of that. I think from at this point from John Reed.
Yes.
Am I right in saying that?
Yes, John Reed took over sort of about a third of the way through the series as director of photography. Seamlessly,
Really knocking
I
it
should
out of
add. Like
Yeah.
John Reed clearly learned everything from Arthur Provis about how to how to light this stuff, and yeah, it's all great. Yeah,
It's
no, I
fantastic.
agree. That's very good.
Also, last thing, the violence of a character gets shot in the forearm by an arrow.
Yeah,
Arm gets pinned to the wall. It's yeah, the sort of stuff that might potentially be thought of as traumatizing for children today, but they were not scared of traumatizing children.
There's
back
no
in
blood.
1961.
There's no blood or anything. It's not gratuitous or anything like that. But it is kind of like, wow, okay, cool. You're going for it.
It's quite serious. There's lots of talk of killing and violence in Four Feather Falls, and I know you've written an entire article on Security Hazard about sort of the darker edge that this show can have sometimes. There's a real sense of jeopardy, maybe that you don't get. You know, I never was really worried about Jimmy Gibson when he was lost at sea in that life raft. I'll be honest. You know, I was pretty certain that Mike Mercury was gonna rescue him.
Yeah.
Not that I was really worried about Grandpa Twink here either, but there's a real sense of, you know, arrows are flying and landing next to or in the puppets.
Yeah. Yeah.
It raises the stakes a little bit in a way that you don't get in some of the subsequent stuff or the earlier stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. It's action packed for sure.
Absolutely.
Right. Next up, our fourth recommendation for you to go and take a look at is an episode called A Lawman Rides Alone. Ben, what can you tell us about A Lawman Rides Alone?
Lawman Rides Alone. Blackie and Whitey Strut are wanted for robbing the Wells Fargo office in Laredo. So Sheriff Tucker rides out alone to bring the brothers to justice.
Yes. Yes. This one is great because it doesn't. It takes itself very seriously, this one, actually. There's sort of no comedy light relief in it at all that I can really speak of. It is just it's just crooks and villains dealing with their drama, basically. It's great fun, and there's fun twists along the way. But I mean, really, what makes it stand out for me is there's a fantastic gunfight that breaks out. Some of the fastest moving action that you'll see in any Super Mario Nation show, frankly. It's just cut, back and forth as the guns are being fired across at the sheriff's office, and Whitey Strut and Big Ben makes a new appearance, you know, opening fire as well. Windows smash, and, you know, bullets are flying everywhere, and it's, you know, dark, it's nighttime and everything, and it's just really dramatic and exciting and great stuff. Yeah, really.
I loved it too.
This is a fun one, but it's interesting because it's not, as I say, it's not sort of comedic, and it doesn't feature people like Pedro and Fernando, so it's not. It's understated. It's an episode that you could easily lose in the mix. At this point in the series, we're looking at production number 20. Phil Ressler had been writing most of the scripts up until this point. You could argue that after a certain time, the episodes get a little bit samey. You know, you start to see the same sorts of plots emerging over time. Phil Ressler's having to try and come up with new ways of introducing characters and plots and doing it in a slightly different way. So you could argue that A Lawman Rides Alone sort of sinks into the background in a way, but I think that action sequence really redeems it.
It elevates it a lot.
Yeah.
And this episode is a callback to the feature film High Noon with Gary Cooper, which is about a sheriff who sort of has to stand alone against a gang of outlaws who everybody knows is coming, and the folks of the town sort of slowly turn their backs on him. And that's something that's explored in other episodes of Four Feather Falls, those kinds of themes as well. But
Yeah.
this is an episode that deals with some of that, and a lot of that action and the way it plays out reminds me of High Noon.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a great, dare I say, prefigures something like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
I mean, the exciting gunfight sequences in that. I mean, because they're puppets, because they're limited in what they can do, they create a lot of the action by cutting really fast, which is exactly what they would do in the 80s with Raiders of the Lost Ark and these kinds of movies that followed it, like Romancing the Stone and others. So that sort of fast editing is something that they were developing because they had no choice with the puppets. They're limited in what they could do.
Yeah.
There's a character, Jack. Not a character, but a prop.
There's an important distinction between those two things, Ben. You
Yes.
should know. Come on, you're supposed to be a filmmaker. You should know the difference between characters and props.
There's a framed picture in Tex Tucker's office, and I think it's in pretty much every episode. I've seen it in multiples.
Yeah.
Anyway, a guy with mutton chops.
Yeah.
Is it lost to history who this guy is?
I have. Let's put it this way. I have never done the research to figure out who that guy is, and if I haven't figured it out, I don't think anyone has taken the time to analyze it and figure it out.
If you know, please do write into the podcast and tell us, because there's a guy who has amazing mutton chops.
Yeah.
Framed and photographed on Tex Tucker's wall.
Yeah.
It's a human being, and there's a you suddenly cut to a close up of it during the gunfight, and it gets shattered. And it's very jarring to suddenly see a human face in the middle of an episode of Four Feather Falls.
Yeah. Again, them figuring out the rules. Like in later Super Mario Nation shows, if you ever see a framed photograph of someone, it's usually of a puppet. Like they don't show live action. They don't try and, well, I was going to say they don't try and make you suspend your disbelief that live action and puppets can sit alongside each other, but you know, then the Secret Service happens, so never mind.
Or Vault of Death.
Or Vault of Death, or any of those ones that use live action a bit more than maybe they should. Yeah, no, that's interesting. No, I hadn't ever thought to identify what that picture is. Wonder it might be possible, because I imagine that for stuff like that, for bits of set dressing like that, they were just taking books and magazines and cutting them up and putting pictures in frames and not really thinking too hard about who these people are. Just that looks good, let's put that on the set. And we should talk a little bit about the set designs, because you see inside the Four Feather Falls saloon and stuff like that, these sets which Reg Hill would have been responsible for at this time, assisted by Bob Bell. Incredible, the level of detail that goes into, particularly I'm thinking about the saloon set with all the little bottles and glasses and things like that. Like it's just a really lovely set. It's got a staircase in it, so it's multi-leveled and things like that. You have which
is insane to think about, doing multi-leveled sets with marionettes. It's just
it's great.
Incredible.
Looks really, really well. And of course the town of Four Feather Falls itself, which again, going back to geography and my map video, and I was always impressed with how consistently the buildings in Four Feather Falls are always laid out the same way from episode to episode, and that always looks fantastic. Little alleyways off to the side and things. And again, you think about the studio was not huge, but still every week they built the town of Four Feather Falls for real.
Weirdly, the town of Four Feather Falls feels bigger than the entire world of Terrahawks. Because Terrahawks, it's like you have Hawk Nest and you have Badwater County, the kind of like Wild West place, which is Sheriff Bull's office, right? Yeah. You have Anderburr Studios and you have Kate Kestrel's house, which is kind of in the jungle, and that's sort of it in the world of Terrahawks. Occasionally you go to other places, but not very often. So it really feels like four sets that sort of consist of the world of planet Earth in Terrahawks.
Mm.
And whereas in this, there's, the saloon and the stables, and it just feels like a fully fleshed out world.
Yeah,
In a
lots
way
of
that
different
something like Terrahawks doesn't.
locations that allowed them to tell lots of different types of stories. Yeah,
They didn't hold back.
That's why the geography of it is, just so important. And later episodes introducing things like the railroad, and I love how that is. We're not going to linger on that too much today, but like how that gets introduced later in the series is kind of like, well, that's how in the real life Wild West, that's how the railroad was introduced into people's lives. It came sort of later on and became a more prominent thing as people lived out their lives. And same goes for Four Feather Falls. It reflects the reality of living in those times. It's remarkable. Really, really great stuff. Yeah. So Lawman Rides Alone. Another thing that's notable about this is directed by David Elliott. This
yes,
one of his. By this time, he'd sort of settled in as one of the Supermarine Nation directors, but he was the first person who wasn't Gerry Anderson to direct one of the AP Films puppet films. So big shoes to fill. That must have been nerve-wracking for him to come in. But then again, he'd been working on this stuff as an editor for so long. I'm sure he was very familiar with the art form. So, and he rises to the challenge superbly.
I suspect he came in with plenty of confidence and ideas as well.
Yeah.
I think he was I suspect he was chomping at the bit to see what he could do. But I don't know that. I'm merely speculating based on interviews I've seen with David Elliott.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a fun one. Next up, our fifth and final recommendation for today is an episode, we mentioned it earlier, A Cure for Everything. Ben, what can you tell us about A Cure for Everything?
Scrag and Wright, a pair of medicine peddlers, arrive in town claiming to have a cure for everything. The townsfolk are so impressed that Doc is soon out of business, until Sheriff Tucker discovers that their curative is nothing but colored water.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Lovely stuff.
Ain't nothing but a couple of snake oil salesmen.
Yeah. I mean, this
That's what I say about them two.
Such a trope of the Western genre. It's ripe for a Four Feather Falls episode. So this is one of the later episodes written by Jill Allgood, directed by Alan Patillo. And as I said, the later episodes of Four Feather Falls, I feel, are a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more simple, a little bit easier to kind of sum up. Like you said, snake oil salesmen come to town, try and trick everyone. Tex defeats them, kind of end of story. So it's a little bit simpler than some of the earlier stuff, but it still has a lot of charm to it. I think this episode is laced with lots of fun moments. There's one particular standout moment. Ben, do you want to tell everyone you know what I'm thinking about already? Well, what's the shot that stands out for you from this episode?
I'm guessing you're thinking of the scene where Tex Tucker takes a bath.
Oh yes,
he has
things get steamy.
Well, they don't actually. They get foamy.
They do get foamy, which is worse somehow.
A nice bubble bath.
Yeah,
and there's a nice little comedic touch where his feet are poking out of the foam, and he's singing a song naturally, and they sort of tap along to the music. It's a touch that captured the heart of the musical programmer at the first Standby for Action concert back in 2022.
All right.
This moment was shown on the big screen, accompanied by a full orchestra. So if you can imagine such a thing, that was something to be in the room for. But you can watch it on DVD or Blu-ray as well.
Yeah.
To get a glimpse of the audience's reaction when Tex Tucker pulled out his bare feet.
It's very charming. It's so lovely. And of course, that it's just, it's a head some foam, and then a couple of feet sticking out, and that's it. You know that there's no puppet submerged in that bath, but it works. But it's tongue firmly in cheek sort of stuff, which
it's much goofier.
I like that. I think that's very charming. I like that Dusty and Rocky also get to have their own baths, and you get to see Rocky's obviously a horse and very giant and tall, so he's covered in foam, and that's quite a fun spectacle. And then you've got little Dusty sitting in the bath, tapping his paws as well, covered in foam. So it's very nice, very sweet, and I feel like that maybe is the sort of tone that people expect from Four Feather Falls, maybe a little bit more. It's light-hearted, they're singing a song, and it's a little bit, magic and twee and things like that. And this episode does do that well. I'll say that. I also appreciate, again, a little bit of geography, a little bit of world building later on. It's talked about that there's a medicine man, an Indian medicine man who uses a magic spring, which is not magic. It's described. It's nice. It treads a nice line where it sort of doesn't disrespect the Native American culture for necessarily believing in a medicine man having magical properties, but it also talks about how the spring is just letting out sparkling water that High MS Wright and his man Scrag steal later on. But it just balances that all quite nicely. Tex is very respectful of Kalamakuya and his culture and everything like that, but is also able to use that as a means of learning more about the bad guys' scheme and catching them out and things like that. So it's very nice, very respectful, and
as a series, it does a better job of being respectful to Native American culture than 90% of westerns made in Hollywood at this time. So it does a good job in that area, in my opinion. Also, it's kind of intriguing to me that these snake oil salesmen, as they are, come into town with this product, and it's not just worthless swill. They've actually found like a kind of like there's a grain of truth to their line, which adds a bit of complexity to what could have made this a really simple story. They've added a little bit of a twist to it, which they didn't have to do. I think you could have told an episode of this length and had it be even simpler. Right? You could have dumbed it down really low for the kiddies. But I feel like they, even in this episode, which is definitely a simpler one, they still had a layer of complexity there where Tex doesn't know where this spring is. Only Kalamakuya knows the location. Kalamakuya and these villains who've just apparently stumbled across it. So that adds an extra layer where Tex is like, "Do you trust me?" He's asking Kalamakuya to trust him with the location of this. So that's some character building as well. Where
and
you're going to keep the secret to Tex.
And it's all lovely because it's set at night time. That conversation and the later stuff at the spring as well. There's a really establishing shot of the spring. It's accompanied by some great early Barry Gray. I want to say there's some electronic stuff going on there with the music as he's establishing that. I could be wrong about that, but Barry. We should say all credit to Barry Gray for the whole show. I mean, he co-created the show with Gerry Anderson. It was very much his idea that kind of sprung into and turned into Four Feather Falls, and it's why musically it's also so strong as well. If this is an example of what Barry Gray's imagination had to offer, I would have loved to have seen Barry Gray create more TV shows. I honestly don't know why he didn't become a writer, because it's great. Like one of the wonderful things about Barry Gray's archive is that it is intact. We have a lot of that original paperwork of him drawing up ideas for Four Feather Falls and the different characters and devising it, and the changes it went through as the format was developed. And Barry Gray, among many of his other talents, clearly was a good writer. Did a good job of devising the characters and coming up with the situations and things like that. So
incredibly creative, a great artist as well. I mean, just a great drawer and painter and cartoonist. So I mean, a real multi-talented figure. Barry Gray could have, if he wanted to, he could have done all of this stuff himself. I think. I think he could have been sort of the Oliver Postgate of his time.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been nice.
I get the sense that Barry liked having some control over his environment because he was an early adopter of having his own home studio for music, and he pioneered a lot of recording techniques. So I think he liked having his own sort of kingdom where he wasn't bothered and he could just kind of get on with it without, being pestered too much by collaborators. But that's his gain is our loss, because he definitely could have created some amazing things. He had clearly an amazing imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful. But there we go. Those are our 5 recommendations. Trouble in Yellow Gulch, Frame Up, The Toughest Guy in the West, A Lawman Rides Alone, and A Cure for Everything. Go ahead and watch those 5 episodes of Four Feather Falls if you've never seen the show before, and give them a go, and let us know later what you make of them. Ben, if you had to pick a favorite out of those 5, putting you on the spot, what do you think?
I knew you were going to ask. And it's hard to choose. It's hard to choose. I think if people are only going to watch one, I might say it's so hard. I think A Lawman Rides Alone, maybe.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because of the action, because it's not a Pedro and Fernando story. It gives you a bit more of the sort of wider perspective on what Four Feather Falls is and could be. I think is great. But I mean, I love all of these. I mean, come on. There's not a bad episode on this list. If you watch all 5, they're only, if you take out the credits, they're only about 10 minutes.
Exactly. Crazy how much story they pack into 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's wild.
It's well worth
good
time.
Good choice. And indeed, I I couldn't stop myself at 5 episodes. If you're a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/securityhazard, I went ahead and did a commentary on 3 more episodes for this week. I've just been living and breathing while I've been recovering from my cold. I've been living and breathing Four Feather Falls the past
living and sneezing.
Living and sneezing, yes, exactly. So if you want more recommendations on top of that, head over to our Patreon and you can go and take a look at that as well. But in addition, so those 3 episodes that I did a commentary for were Gunplay, Once a Lawman, and Ambush. So if you want to get my thoughts on that, if you want to hear me do a commentary on that, then go head over to our Patreon and take a look. But on top of that, Ben, we've also heard from some of our viewers and listeners.
Have we really?
Yes, I put out the call for some episode recommendations from people as well. And I'm gonna read a few of those out for you. Some people weren't able to kind of offer that; they were able to kind of talk more generally about the series. So, let's just dive in. So, I'm going to start with Philip Cully on Facebook. Says, "Try as I might, I can't think of a specific favorite episode. With a few exceptions, the whole series is delightful. There are several I did particularly like, including Safe as Houses, Land Grabbers, and Frame Up. And of course, most episodes with Pedro and Fernando are always fun." So those are Philip's recommendations there. Nick James Thorne says the whole series was great in my view, but the opening titles in particular were great. I do wonder if maybe Toy Story 2 may have been subtly referencing the show, and I don't know whether that's actually ever been confirmed or not, but certainly if you're familiar with the plot of Toy Story 2 and Woody's roundup in that movie, lots of echoes of Four Feather Falls in that one, and particularly the idea of westerns getting replaced with sci-fi. Obviously, in the world of Gerry Anderson, that's particularly prevalent. So, yeah, interesting stuff. So, yeah, Toy Story 2. Go and look for the Four Feather Falls parallels in there. Next up, Susie Jones says, sorry to say, I have only watched a few short clips of Four Feather Falls. The Security Hazard show is an education, and I am really thankful to you both because I didn't know about it. What I have seen, and to repeat what Philip said, is really delightful and fun to watch. Well, thank you, Susie.
That is very high praise. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very glad that we're able to offer that for you. Simpsons Clips 24 says, my favorite episode is How It Began. It sets up the show nicely. How It Began is the first episode, the pilot episode. And Simpsons Clips 24 goes on to say, I have a theory that it might have been repurposed from the pilot that Gerry and his team made at Islet Park House. Yes, so this is the interesting thing. Four Feather Falls, before production started proper, yes, they made a pilot episode at Islet Park, which is where they shot Twizzle and Torchy, before they then moved production onto the Slough Trading Estate. And I think Century 21 Films recently uncovered an earlier copy of How It Began, the first episode, and there were scenes that were trimmed out of the transmitted version of it. So
fascinating.
Interesting that it started out life a bit longer and then was cut down to fit that 15-minute broadcast limit. So very interesting stuff.
Look forward to learning more about that.
Yes. Next up, let's see. Thank you all for your comments. We have lots of interesting ones today. Ian Dealey says, I do hope that one day all of the episodes of Four Feather Falls will be remastered in HD on Blu-ray.
That would be so nice.
100%.
There's a little bit that surfaced in HD already. I think How It Began was on the Super Mario Nation Blu-ray.
No. Gunfight on Main Street.
Gunfight on Main Street.
Yes. So that exists. That's available in HD. And then, of course, First Train Through was remastered in HD and colorized. And we actually have a speaking of which, Shadow Moth 9158 says, I hope Anderson Entertainment team will consider using AI to bring all Four Feather Falls, Supercar, and Fireball XL5 episodes to color. Too expensive to completely be done by humans, as we saw with their first Blu-ray, the super colorization set. Really hope we get the entire shows in color someday. That's interesting. Yeah, look, I mean, lots of people are going to want to see these shows in color. That's their preferred way of watching them. You're welcome to have that opinion. I personally, particularly in the case of Four Feather Falls, believe that black and white is the optimal way of watching it. That's just me. That's just what I think. And then finally, this next comment, I think we're going to have to use this as a segue to talk about something else. It's got nothing to do with Four Feather Falls. But Dutch Bond fan says, hey, Jack, big fan of the blog. I especially love your reviews of all the Thunderbirds episodes. I was wondering if you got the new Blu-ray set and if you're ever considering to try and spot all the changes they made. You came to mind for that sort of thing. Thank you, Dutch Bond fan, for talking about my Thunderbirds reviews. I thought this... Thank you for introducing that for us, because I thought it'd be a good opportunity to segue away from Four Feather Falls briefly for the last bit of the show. I wanted to talk about the new Thunderbirds Blu-ray set, which, believe it or not, I did actually receive it in full with all the proper discs. It wasn't a Four Feather Falls set, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show.
What? Shocking.
Yes, so this is the 60th anniversary Blu-ray set of Thunderbirds, released by Anderson Entertainment. I received my copy of it a few days ago, and I just wanted to address that comment because he brings up some interesting things. Lovely of you to suggest that I should be the one to go through and sort of talk about this set in detail and talk about all the restoration and fixes that have been done on it. One of the reasons why I might not be the best person to do that is because I was on the team that helped to do that restoration. I went through. Ben, you were one of those people as well. Who we were basically tasked with studying the Blu-ray masters that were used on previous releases, like the Shout Factory US release and the Japanese release. And we were tasked with looking at those editions of the show and trying to pick out what had been changed and what needed to be updated and restored so that it was as close to a sort of an original broadcast experience as we could possibly get. So you and I, Ben, we went through that process of studying those masters in detail and, you know, coming up with our wish list of what we wanted to see kind of tweaked and fixed and kind of put back to the way it was sort of supposed to be. That's very much a matter for interpretation. So anyway, because of that reason, I can't offer an unbiased review of this set because, you know, both our names are on it. We contributed to it. Which I have to say, I mean, what a privilege to be able to do that.
It was an incredible honor, and one I think it's fair to say we didn't take very lightly.
No, lots of pressure.
Lots of pressure to try and get it right and to deal with, just the trying to do it within the budgets and the restraints, which I have to say, we also were given a tremendous amount, more than we expected, in terms of time and resources to try and get it right.
Yeah. Well, we really wanted to do it justice, that's for sure. And we should say Chris Dale has done a great job of being, I think, more than transparent about what that process actually involved and what it was we were actually going. And he describes it far better than I ever could about you know what we were kind of dealing with in doing that. So I recommend. There's a few things I recommend. He did an interview with Fred McNamara of the Gerry Anderson website, talking in detail about the process that Ben and I were a part of studying the episodes and making sure we noted every little thing that we wanted to be addressed. But then also there's been episodes of the Gerry Anderson podcast that have also done the same thing and gone and taken a look at it. So yeah, so we were able to contribute in that way. But Ben, you know, you and I were also able to contribute special features to this set, which was again a real privilege, a real exciting thing to do. You put together an archive audio commentary over the episode Security Hazard, which feels appropriate, seeing as we're on the Security Hazard show, which I thought was a really novel idea, really clever idea. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Take any credit for that at all. That was a Chris Dale idea. Basically, unfortunately, a lot of the people who contributed to making Thunderbirds are no longer with us. Naturally, it's the 60th anniversary, so it's a long time ago. And we wanted to sort of have a way of including them on this set. And one of the ideas that Chris came up with that he gave to me to execute was to come up with an archive audio commentary for the episode Security Hazard, which is as you know, a flashback episode. So it covers a lot of material from across the series, or the first 26 episodes of Thunderbirds. So I had the opportunity to go through hours and hours of tape from all different kinds of people at Century 21, Derek Meddings, Mary Turner, Alan Patillo, Gerry and Sylvia Anderson, and loads more.
Yeah,
And
Alan Fennell's on there. Bob
Alan
Bell
Fennell
is on
is
there
on
as
there.
well. Yeah,
Bob Bell is on there. And I think there might even be more. It was
yeah.
quite a
It's
long
packed.
list.
It was
It was
so
I
when I
really,
got my
really
set,
packed.
it was the first thing I went and listened to because I was like, I'm really curious to see how Ben has tackled this. And I think I've got to say, and I'm not just saying that, I think you did a fantastic job on it.
Thank you very
I
much.
think
It means a lot to me.
when faced with that chat, because yeah, it's like you've got so much archive audio you could have used, and what's great about using the episode security hazard is you can cover all sorts of different bases. A particular highlight for me was Gerry telling his story about his visit to a real space rocket silo and the experience of doing that. And you've got that playing over some probe, which feels very appropriate. It's great. So that was
Yes, I contributed that, and you contributed a very interesting documentary piece. Why don't you tell us a little bit about
again,
that?
this isn't one I can take much credit for either. Andrew Clements.
It's a big team effort, isn't it? The whole thing
really is. So many people are involved in these things that very rarely can you point to one person as like, well, they did it. But no, Andrew Clements, I think with Chris Dale's idea to do this as well, wanted to present a documentary covering all the various reboot attempts, all the different reimaginings of Thunderbirds that have gone on over the years. And basically, Andrew came to me and said, could you edit this for me? Could you put this? So Andrew wrote the script. It was narrated by the lovely Mark Silk, who very appropriate choice since he was a voice artist on the Thunderbirds Are Go 2015 reboot. So it seemed like a really good fit to narrate this documentary for us. And it's essentially a whistle-stop tour through 60 years worth of reboot attempts for Thunderbirds and all the various ways that it's been reimagined and re-edited and reconsidered over the years. So we touch upon Thunderbirds 2086, the anime series, both the Fox Kids edits of Thunderbirds and turbocharged Thunderbirds. Which I'll talk about why that was a highlight a little bit later. Turbocharged Thunderbirds. What else did we do? The 1998 attempt at doing the feature film. The 2004 feature film. The 2005 Thunderbirds IR TV series attempt. The trailer that was done for that with puppets for the sort of 40th anniversary. The the anniversary episodes from 2015, Thunderbirds Are Go 2015 CGI series, and then the Anderson Entertainment audio adventures as well. So they packed all of that into one documentary.
Amazing.
And working with lots of different material. And we've actually had a comment in the chat from @Mr. saying, after watching the rebooted feature, I now want to see a Turbocharged Thunderbirds Blu-ray release. Nice job on the archive commentary, Ben. The video quality of Turbocharged Thunderbirds looked much better than the battered VHS copies knocking about. Well, this was the interesting thing, and this has been talked about on the Gerry Anderson podcast. It was discovered over the course of putting this Blu-ray together that ITV do in fact hold every episode of Turbocharged Thunderbirds in broadcast quality in their archive. It has been sitting there the whole time. So it's not Blu-ray quality by any means, but it's standard definition because I think it was shot on video or certainly edited on videotape. But yeah, it meant that for the first time we had access to turbocharged Thunderbirds in a format that wasn't just like an off-air recording. For the longest time, that's all we had access to. So I got to experience some Turbocharged Thunderbirds episodes that haven't been seen for
many years.
And we made sure, for the purposes of this documentary, that we were going to included an episode in there. It was The Man from MI5, the turbocharged version of that, which I think has a different title that escapes me right now. We made sure to include clips from that because we knew that was one of the episodes that hasn't been seen for a long time. So
Wow.
yeah, I hope that was a little bit of a treat for people.
That is a treat.
All I can say about future releases of Turbocharged Thunderbirds is, well, it's out of my hands, certainly. Go and talk to ITV, go and talk to Anderson Entertainment, see what they can do there. I have no idea what the rights situation is for Turbocharged Thunderbirds. Absolutely no idea. But yeah, that was just one of all the things you would expect to come across while putting together a 60th anniversary ultimate kind of special edition release of Thunderbirds. Of all the things you'd expect to come across, yeah, Turbocharged Thunderbird surviving in its entirety is not what I would have expected. But it was a fun surprise for me anyway. Probably not for most people, but for me it was quite exciting.
It's been an incredible journey. For me, Thunderbirds was the first DVD I ever bought. I mean, my family didn't own a DVD player when I bought the Thunderbirds DVDs.
Yeah.
We just had a VCR. And so to go from, getting that DVD box set to getting this, to working on this Thunderbirds Blu-ray set has just been an incredible ride. And I'm extremely grateful to the good folks at Anderson Entertainment for having me along for that ride. Because,
absolutely, likewise,
it's been a blast, and and full of discovery as well. Finding things like Turbocharged Thunderbirds along the way was an unexpected surprise, and a welcome one.
Yeah, it's lovely. So anyway, just to go back to the original question, no, I don't have any plans to go through and write any articles about everything that was kind of fixed up and restored and changed on this particular release, because I was a bit too close to the project to be able to do that sort of authentically. I'm sure there's many other people online who are able to offer a more kind of unbiased opinion on it, frankly. So there we go. But anyway, that was our show for this week. Ben, I hope you had fun talking Four Feather Falls and talking about the Blu-ray as well. Yeah, lovely stuff.
Did.
Thank you all for tuning in and listening to the Security Hazard Show. We broadcast live every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. UK time. Whether we're down with a cold or not, we're still doing it. Thank you, Ben, for sticking with me while I've been slightly. I'm a little bit. So I'm medded up on cold medicine right now, so
that's exactly what you want for a live show, is the introduction of drugs.
Really helps. So yes, you can subscribe to us, youtube.com/JackNoll, to watch us live, but you can also catch us on your audio platform of choice, places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, all that sort of thing. Just look for the Security Hazard Show. Give us a rating and review. We really appreciate it. Really helps us out. But Ben, we mentioned our Patreon a little bit earlier on. What's that all about?
Well, patreon.com/securityhazard is a way that you can get even more bonus material. If you like this show, you support us there, and it goes directly to helping us keep the lights on at Security Hazard, which we very much appreciate. But as a thank you, we also do tons of exclusive content on there. Jack's done his commentary for 3 episodes of Four Feather Falls, which we've talked about in this episode.
Yes.
I watched that myself today and really loved it. That is great. But there's also, if you're interested in the rebooted versions of Thunderbirds, I've been going through the 2015 series episode by episode and reacting to that in real time. So I've never seen it before, and I'm watching it for our patrons. Which is great. We're having a great time over there.
It's lovely. Good fun.
Stop on by and join us.
Another one, speaking of Turbocharged Thunderbirds, this is a little while ago, but we did do a commentary on the first episode of Turbocharged Thunderbirds, Trapped in the Sky. Right. We did do that as well. But that was before we had found the broadcast quality versions of the episodes. We were still looking at one of these ratty old VHS copies of it. So
Which there's a certain charm in watching it that way as well.
yeah. Oh, there is.
Take
There
that
is, for
away
sure.
from anybody.
Yeah. But yeah, there we go. So lots to enjoy over on our Patreon page. So do take a look at that and give what you can. Only if you can. We appreciate everything. We appreciate all of our patrons for helping us out. For everything else, you can head over to securityhazard.net. That is where you will find my blog with all my Thunderbirds reviews, plus articles about Four Feather Falls and lots of other Gerry Anderson stuff. It's all on there. Securityhazard.net. It also includes links to all of the Security Hazard social media, so things like Facebook, Blue Sky. It's all on there. But also I wanted to mention Security Hazard. Finally, after only 10 years of being around, I finally got around to setting up a Security Hazard Instagram account.
Yay!
Instagram.com/security.hazard. Head over there, give me a follow. You'll get all the social media business that we do on lots of other platforms, but I know lots of people, they only use Instagram, or they only use one platform or another. So we try to be in as many places as possible that people can find us. And I've actually just realized in my cold induced state that I forgot to read out one of our comments from Instagram.
Oh no.
See, this is how new Instagram is I haven't even worked it into our little workflow yet, but I wanted...
Well, while you track that down, I'll go ahead and plug my socials.
Yes, please do.
You can find me on my link tree is benwolf.page. I have links to all sorts of stuff there. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/@cinemarionette. That's cinema and marionette put together into one word there.
Mm-hmm.
I have a video coming out tomorrow, a exploration of how I made a puppet for Blake 7. So it's a behind the scenes puppet making video. You can see what happens when I spill tons and tons of latex all over my bathroom floor in all its glory. That's coming out tomorrow, first thing in the morning. So go along and subscribe to that, and I'd be very grateful. And I think you'll enjoy the video too.
Definitely should. So, just to finish on one last comment, I apologize for missing this earlier on, but this is from our brand new Instagram account. So this is got to get the plug in for that. This is from Adam Luff, friend of the show, Adam Luff. Talking about his favorite Four Feather Falls episodes. He says, "I always loved A Bad Name," which is an episode I've not thought about for a while, but it's called A Bad Name. I enjoyed the Rio Bravo / Assault on Precinct 13 story, as well as starting the episode off with my favorite song, The Phantom Rider, and some great cinematography, such as the shot of Big Ben riding his horse into Four Feather Falls. I also want to give an honorable mention to Once a Lawman. I feel this episode could work well as a series finale, as Jackson's line about Tex, once a lawman, always a lawman, sums up Tex's character as sheriff and as a main character perfectly. Yes, Once a Lawman was one of the ones I did on the Patreon commentary as well. So glad we're in agreement on that. But yes, thank you, Adam, for that comment. I'm sorry I missed it the first time. Please.
Adam's a long time advocate for Four Feather Falls. He's a big fan, I know, and a writer of westerns himself. I have to say, an excellent writer, and hopefully one day you'll all get to enjoy that Western story that he's cooking up. So look forward to that.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Well, we hope you all enjoyed celebrating the 66th anniversary of Four Feather Falls with us. Go and watch any of those episodes that we shouted out. Go and pick up your DVDs. You can, I believe the DVD is available from places like the Gerry Anderson store. So if you've not seen Four Feather Falls, goodness sake, go and pick up the series and enjoy it. And other than that, I think we'll catch you all next time. Thank you, and bye for now.
I say, old boy, 66 years, that's 2/3 of a century. What?
Oh,
What?
You don't look a day over, 65, maybe?